Right, Lwando, basically what desktop research means is that you have to go onto a computer. That's just another way of saying go onto the internet um, and find articles, any publications. There are lots of people who have blogs and articles that they publish on internet related to that. If you just type in selling sales methods and personal selling in COVID in COVID-19, you'll find quite a number of results that pop up. That's basically what the question expects you to do. We want you to identify. We know that during this course, we are going to give you chapter by chapter the steps and the methods that has traditionally been used in personal selling. Now, personal selling very much referred to face-to-face contact, where you pick up the phone, you make an appointment, you go visit that customer. To honor the appointment, you actually have a one-on-one session with them, a face-to-face contact session with them, which we know is not going to be possible during COVID, or was not possible during COVID. What sort of creative ways have salespeople come up with? I'm not expecting you to necessarily identify creative ways yourself. You can if you want to, and add extra value to it. That will definitely be extra marks, but there are lots of information out there that expose you to different ways of selling in COVID, basically. How did people adjust? And as I said last week in one session, the one that also when traditionally, let's say for instance, like the two people on the screen in the image there, excuse me, my apologies. They are basically talking to each other, but they necessarily there could be a divider in the middle of that image, or we can actually split this into two images. They're not necessarily in the same room. Traditionally, those two people, the customer, my apologies. Let me just rather take a cup of tea quickly first. My apologies. Okay, that's better. Some ginger and honey always works. If you, let's say for instance, it's clear from that image that you have on the screen that the person on the right-hand side is the salesperson because he's listening. The person on the left-hand side is the customer. He has something to say. It looks as if he's complaining about something. Okay, and that's why I'm assuming that he has the role of the prospect of the customer. If we split that image in two, there are always two roles. That's the role of the salesperson and the roles of the customer. Now, normally, if you go out to a dealership to buy a car, you can do a lot of research initially online, and then you can actually walk into a dealership where you will now personally meet a sales consultant who will show you the vehicle, who will take you on a test drive for the vehicle. Now, that was the accepted norm prior to COVID. People are still buying cars. Salespeople are still selling cars. Now, how is that the method of communicating and conducting that same scenario? How has that changed during COVID? That's basically what we want you to do with, in this case specifically, question 1.3. Desktop research requires you to go onto the internet, find articles where people who have been in sales, who write blogs on sales, are giving you tips and hints on how you can still sell during COVID and post-COVID, because we're not necessarily immediately going to go and return back to the old normal or to the usual. We're going to go into a new normal. That does answer your question, Lwando? Lwando asked a question about yes. Sorry.
In some way. No, sir, I'm saying in some way it does answer it, because I wanted to know, so if 1.3 must be now linked with 1.1.
Okay, well, let me quickly open my assignment. I don't have the assignment with me, so I can actually, people, as I said, throughout this course, we will consistently revise what the requirements of your assignments are and see how you progress, because then we will be receiving high quality work and people are not unsure as to what they should be doing. So that's why I asked the question if anybody had any questions regarding the assignment that was briefed on last week, and Luan will ask me a question. I'm just going to open the assignment so I can see what he's referring to. So I have that on my additional monitor here, and drag it across. Right, Luan was referring to specifically question 1.1, where it says some learning resources vary on the number of steps there is in the personal selling process. Listen, explain. We have identified the steps in the selling cycle last week already in our first session. You can remember those 10 steps in chapter 1. That's what we refer to in question 1.1. Question 1.3, do desktop research to identify 5 ways of how to adapt the sales process. You're not now all of a sudden, to clarify any uncertainty here, you're not just going to now clarify, replace the 10 steps. We're not saying that, okay, right, the 10 steps were there, are they now being reduced to 7 steps because we cannot do certain steps anymore as a result of COVID? No, what we ask you to do is to highlight the questions, highlight the steps that has become very important now. If you go through the different steps, and one of the steps is actually to do a presentation, right? Remember, your second step is the approach, where you are going to phone the customer and you want to make an appointment with them. Now, step 3 is going to that appointment and doing the presentation. Now, you cannot do that in a face-to-face contact situation anymore, but you can do that over a Zoom call or through a Teams meeting, for instance. So basically what we are saying is, how has COVID changed the different steps? In other words, the methods in how we are still using Luanda, we're still using, and all the other students, we're still using the same 10 steps. They might just be done in a different manner. And that's what we're referring to in question 1.3. How are the steps done, the same 10 steps, how are they done differently? Or which steps that we have to change? We can still make our phone calls. That step hasn't changed. You still have to have a database and you still have to phone the people. The steps that has probably changed the most is probably prospecting. Okay, so you can't go out to all those venues that you usually would have found prospects. You can't go to a specific exhibition or expo and gather information from people walking through the doors at an exhibition. So your methods in where you find your prospects have changed. The methods of your presentation has changed. Is that clearer to you, Luanda? Can you understand? Now, I'm not saying replace those steps or take away any of those 10 steps. Basically, those 10 steps, which ones needed to be modified as a result of COVID, and how was it modified? Is that a more clearer answer to your question?
Yes, sir. You answered my question, sir. So I don't have to like directly link it, but I should just elaborate on what has
Yes.
changed. I
Yes, and
understand, sir. Thank you
obviously,
very much, sir.
no problem at all. And obviously, an important thing is as well, reference those resources that you've used. I read this article. It was on the internet. It was dated. Somebody posted it in March last year, just when we entered hard lockdown. And this person suggested that these and these and these things is how we as salespeople need to change our approach to be as efficient as we have been in the past, but just under different circumstances. Okay. While I have my on my one monitor, the assignment on the screen. Any other questions related to the assignment that anybody else wants to ask me? Lwanda, you've asked very good questions, and I'm glad I could help you with that. Anybody else who has looked at the assignment after the briefing last Wednesday, and or for the Centurion students only later in the week when your Canvas problems were sorted out? Any other questions related to the assignment, people? Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome talking to then obviously list them and we can discuss them. Please, people, let me encourage you again throughout the semester until your assignment has been submitted. Do not wait for a specific session that I have allocated for us to discuss your progress on the assignment. At any point like now, you're welcome to ask me, because I know that the success in providing a good assignment usually lies in the recipe of completing the sections as you complete the chapters in the manual. Like, for instance, question 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, you can already do because that comes from chapter 1. So the students who want to do that, that's why I have suggested that I'm going to continuously throughout the semester, up to the submission date, allow you opportunities to ask questions as we progress. So do not wait for a specific. There's no wrong time to ask me questions about your assignments. Okay. Right. Let's see what else is possible for us at this point. And let's resume to chapter 3.
Oh yeah, sir.
Yo,
Sorry,
no problem.
I also have another question, sir.
Yes.
Are we writing, sir, Thursday?
Class test.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the class test will be available online like it has been in semester 1. It's already been loaded onto Canvas weeks ago. It will open on Thursday evening because we still cover a chapter on Thursday, or finish a chapter on Thursday that is covered in your class test. I've decided, people, just for the sake of based on, now let me rather rephrase my answer to you. Based on previous experience, not just in the first semester with you as a group on business marketing, based on previous years with students on the same course as you, very often a lot of marks are lost when in the section that deals with multiple choice questions, true and false questions, and multiple choice questions. So all your class tests, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the semester is going to be a multiple choice and true and false question format. It's not going to be essay questions. I want you to, because a lot of marks are given away because the answers are usually almost provided to you already. You just need to look at the options carefully. And sometimes it's also, you develop a skill on how to answer multiple choice questions. So the class test will be available for you from literally midnight on Friday morning, all the way through the whole of Friday. But it will be on the chapters that we have completed by Thursday. And that's why it's only available after 12 o'clock on Thursday evening, early morning on Friday. You've got the whole day to complete it. It's 25 questions for 30 minutes. You've got 30 minutes to complete 25 multiple choice and true and false questions. Okay, so time is not going to be issued. The format of the class tests I've just given you as well. But yes, it is this week that you're already writing your first class test. You'll be writing 3 class tests before you write your formal test for the term test, as we called it in the past. The formal test that you write, I think, in week 8, week 9. I'm not exactly sure. I can't recall accurately, but as your timetable suggests. But you'll have 3 class tests in preparation for your formal test. Anyone else? Any questions? Any other questions related to either your class test or assessments during the term? As I said, and I might just want to repeat myself, for those students who were not here during the first session, I'm specifically referring to the Centurion students. On day 1, the semester or this module, you will be assessed your 4 class tests. Each of them carry a weighting of 2.5% towards your mark. In other words, all 4 of them together carry a value of 10%. Your assignment would be a value of 40%, and your formal test that you write would be 50%. That makes up 100% of your mark to qualify, not qualify, but in preparation for your exam. Your exam will then be a different paper jointly between the 2 of those. 40% of what you got for those first 3 plus what your mark is that you got for your exam is going to be your mark for the module. So it's going to be 4 class tests, it's going to be 1 assignment, it's going to be a formal test like you did halfway through the first semester for business marketing, and then your exam that you'll write first week in November. Is everybody clear with that? Any questions related to that? Okay, good. Then we'll continue. Up to this point, and I said in the previous chapter, one of the successes of being effective in sales and successful in sales is, yes, to identify the problems that customers have, to satisfy those problems and their specific needs, to listen to what their replies are to the questions that you are asking. Communication has 2 very important parts. Somebody speaks, that's the person in the left person on the left in the image on the screen. That's the person who is asking the question. That person is the sender. It's like you texting a friend. You are texting. Now you're waiting on the reply. The receiver is the person who receives the text that you've sent and is replying to that text. If we're having a verbal communication with each other, it would be the person asking the question, the sender, the person opposite you that you've addressed the question to is the receiver, who is going to reply in whatever manner to the question that you've asked. As I suggested in the previous session as well, there are 2 important things in sales or personal selling communication. You have to inform the customer, and that's where chapter 2 comes in, where you give them the information that highlights the features of the product, tells them what the benefits and the advantages of the product is for them. That should be persuasive enough. The persuasion component of your communication comes in when the customer is unsure and is asking a question. The wonder, would you like to buy this car? From what I've just said, I've told you all the details about how wonderful this car is and how great you're going to look in it and how much it's going to mean for your image and whatever. Do you have any questions? Now, that is me, after giving all the information to him, asking him a question to reply to tell me if there's anything else that he wants to know. What is troubling him? What is he still unsure about? You have not persuaded the customer yet. You've just informed the customer. His or her reply to your question. Mr. Van Rensburg, yes, I'm not 100% sure. There's still one or two things that I'm troubled with. One of the things is I'm not sure if you've covered it in your presentation, but would I be correct in saying that if I choose to buy this vehicle, I have a choice of 7 different colors, interior and exterior? That is his reply. That's a request for more information. Me as the salesperson would now say, right, in an attempt to persuade him, he says, you know what? You're quite right, Luan. Not just that. It's not just the exterior and the interior color combinations that you can select from. You can have any combination of those. If you want black interior, leather with red and a red exterior, fine. If you want blue interior with exterior green, it's fine. Any combination of the options that we've provided you is available. Okay, so now you're trying to persuade him. Oh, geez, I can almost pick everything I want. Maybe you're Man United supporter and you want red seats or red car and black seats, or other way around. I don't know. Bottom line is, hopefully you're not a Norwich supporter, because then you have to do with an ugly green and yellow car, and I don't think that's going to go down well. Anyway, you see what I'm getting at? The 2 communication objectives when you're selling is to inform and to persuade. Do not persuade people by providing them the information. You persuade them by answering the objections, the questions that they reply to you with after you've done the presentation. Right. Very well known to us. We only have 5 minutes. So I'm only going to finish this. There's no rush for us to do, or no reason for us to rush through this session. And I've got another class starting at 10 to 2. So in the last 5 minutes, basically, just to explain to you what you see on the screen, the 7 elements of effective communication. The sender on the left-hand side, the salesperson, providing information to the customer, can ask a question. Would you like to, what color would you like your vehicle to be, what color vehicle would you like? Darken with, that is the sender, me, the salesperson, sending it out. That's encoding the message. So in other words, that's structuring the question I'm asking the receiver, the customer. Then that's the message that is sent through my question to the customer. The customer listens to what I say. I said, would you, in what color would you like your vehicle to be? The customer receives it, decodes the message. It could be, and that's where the block right in the center, the noise and the other distractions. Noises doesn't just refer to physical noises, background noise and stuff like that. Noises could be a friend of you who says, no, geez, man, just don't, any color but blue, please. Everybody that influences you, anybody that has a contribution to you at that stage, who's in your presence, that can actually reflect, that can influence your reply, and who will contribute to your reply, is now seen as noise. That affects your decision and it affects your reaction to the question. Now, once Tarquin has heard that question, he's decoded it and he's either blocked out the background noise or he has listened to the advice of the noise, he reacts. And that's the feedback. That's the response. That's where you as the customer now provides the answer to the question that I've asked. You know what, Mr. Rensburg? I'm quite happy. I mean, I'm not too fixed on certain colors. I did some research and I know that white and silver are the popular colors for reselling, and also it's more visible in most conditions, and that's probably would be one of my choices, either white or gray. I don't have a preference. Okay, that's just an indication and an illustration of what this specific diagram is about. Anybody? I'm not going to start anything new. I'm just going to stop right here. But I want you to ask any questions that you might have. Do you understand the process of communication as I've explained to you now? Or would you want me to, or would you suggest another example to me so I can explain it to you again? Anybody? Clarissa, Stanley, you all good? You understand this? It's quite a simple process. I ask a question, you interpret the question, you reply to that question. That's basically what this diagram is about. There are factors that influence our decisions, yes, like the noise that we referred to, but okay. Anybody? If you have no other questions, I'm going to finish off now because I've got to think about a minute to go and then I have to do another class in 5 minutes. I just want to double check the next session we have would be on Wednesday. If I'm correct, on Wednesday we have at 12:35. We've got 2 periods again. No, we've just got one on Wednesday. No, do we have 2 or 1 on Wednesday? We have 1 on Wednesday. That's Wednesday 12:35. That's our next session. There's an additional resource document that I want to upload to you, some slides and articles and video clips that I'll add to the in addition to the recordings of the 2 sessions of today. If you want more information, just always check if there's additional resources that's uploaded. You're not going to be examined on that, but it helps. It's additional resources to help you understand the work that we've done in class maybe better. Okay, video clips and other interesting articles. Anybody, any questions at this point? You all good? Will we take a break and resume and see you back on Wednesday? Good. That seems to be the majority decision. So I thank you for the session. Thanks for your contributions. Thanks for your questions. If you know of anybody, that hasn't got access yet, I spoke to or emailed Caitlin this morning. Caitlin is in George. She couldn't find the link on Canvas to attend the sessions. I did send her a link though, but it doesn't seem that that actually works. I'll follow up with her. So if there's anybody else that you know of, I know I haven't heard of Keegan. I'm not sure if Keegan is doing this course anymore. Luan was here last week. Dylan, I'm not sure if Dylan is still doing the course. I'm talking about the Belleville students. Andre, I know, is probably still back on his way from KZN. Sean attended all of last week's sessions, and Lynette, I'm not sure about Lynette. So I'll follow up with that. But if any of you hear of any of your classmates or are aware of any of your classmates who are not part of the course anymore or who are but having difficulty connected, please let me know. But if everything else is good, thank you very much. We'll chat again on Wednesday. Have a good day. Be safe. Make good decisions. Thanks, everybody.